Hey everybody, this is Larry. This is day 20th of the Leetcode Daily Challenge. I forgot what day it is. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me on Discord. Let me know what you think about this one. Thursdays, as usual, are my harder workouts, so I'm always just so tired. It's basically 11 miles of pain getting me ready for, well, on tired legs. Remember that even before this 11 miles, this week I've ran 17 miles before this. So that those 11 miles are kind of tough. But yeah, anyway, not a big deal. But so if I say something a little bit incorrectly, let me know. Without further ado, since we do have a hard problem, let's get started on this one. Of 214's shortest palindrome. You're given a string S, you can convert S to a palindrome by adding characters in front of it. Return the shortest palindrome you can find by performing this transformation. Okay. I mean, the first idea. So okay. I mean, adding stuff in front of it is kind of like a little bit of an indirection, but not a big deal, right? Because you can swap it to reversing the string and then adding characters in the back of it if it makes it easier to do. I don't know that does, but you can do stuff like that, right? My first instinct is going to be dynamic programming. Um, so what would dynamic programming look like, right? If we were to have dynamic programming. So given this string, I mean, oh yeah, one thing that I would say is that n is 5 to times 10 to the fourth. So we can't do anything naive like, because I think the naive thing, or I didn't even think about this all the way through, honestly. But I think, there's probably like a very easy n squared dynamic programming solution. But I didn't think it through because it doesn't really matter because it's not fast enough, right? So that's why I didn't really give it that much of a thought. But here, right? So okay. So let's say if we are doing dynamic programming, what would be the way that we think about this? And just to be clear, if you're watching this, and I guess you are, otherwise, how else are you listening to me? But most of the, I mean, actually not most of the time, all the time I'm solving these problems live. It's just that for many of these problems, I know the solution instantly, so I'm able to kind of explain a lot of the stuff beforehand. But sometimes I don't. Like for this one, I do not know the solution right off the bat. I mean, I have some ideas, and we'll talk about it as I'm solving this live. But I don't know if it's. I don't know the exact, precise, correct answer. So bear with me if it's not as But that's part of the. Hopefully, that's part of the draw of this channel is that I'm not trying to be like pretend I'm smart or whatever by like, hey, here's a solution, and here is me explaining it. And that's the thing I always say, right? Maybe there's a little bit of tangent. I promise I'll keep it short. But the thing that I always say, and I've been saying it a lot, so hopefully I don't have to say a long version of it, is that understanding the solution is not the same as coming up with the solution, right? It's very obvious when someone tells you this, but I think people get stuck on like, oh, let's look at the solution, see if I can understand it. But they don't, that's it, right? But they don't do the work to make sure they can implement it, which is different. And hopefully by me explaining or going through my thought process, sometimes incorrect ones, we'll get together. Remember, if you're studying, I mean, if you're studying for interviews, but also even for competitive, you're not tested on whether you understand the solution, right? You're tested on whether you can come up with the solution and implement the solution. So work on that. Anyway, I made longer versions of that speech before, so I'll just keep it short for now. I mean, and it was reason. So okay, so we can add stuff in front of it, and that's it, right? What does adding stuff in front of it mean? Well, because you cannot add stuff to the end of it, because there's this asymmetry, meaning that I don't think this would be optimal in some case, but maybe there is some way you could work it where maybe if you add a B in the front and then you add a B at the end, and then maybe like something like I don't know, something that makes it match and then balance it out, right? But we don't have to explore that for this problem because you can only add stuff in front of it. So then what do we do? Well, we get rid of one character, or we spoiler. Well, we add any character. It doesn't really make sense because actually, is that true? No, I guess you can add stuff. So in this case, maybe we could add in. Maybe I'm wrong. My first instinct was that I want to pair this with the last digit. But you can imagine that we add C and then we add A. But I just realized what I did is that in this visualization, we're not thinking about subproblems, right? We're thinking about processes. And processes and subproblems are kind of, at least in my mind, I mean, there's no like formal things for subproblems, I guess there is. But what I mean is that like, okay, I'm thinking of this, but the way you add this is not in this order, right? The way you would add this is actually from left to right, and that gives you the. Because I was going to say like, oh, if we add C, this C may match this C, so then we can do A in the beginning, right? But actually, what we would do is not doing it that way. What we would do is going from left to right. So then now, a easier way to visualize is that, okay, we add an A, what happens? Well, this A would match the last A, so then now the subproblem is that we match the A, so then now we have this thing plus adding one character, right? Which is the A. And then now we do it again, and this matches the last A, so then now, oh, down key doesn't work because I don't have the new lines. Because then now, you have C, right? And that, no, well, this matches this A, and then this A matches this A, so then now the next thing is going to be C, and then now maybe match the C. Of course, I'm not saying that that's not C. I'm not saying that this may be the optimal solution, but that's an idea, right? Because then now the question is, well, do you have choices? Well, of course you do, because you don't need to add an A here. You could add this. That's also wrong, right? So I was thinking about like, okay, but I mean, if you just do it this way, then it would just be greedy, right? So you have to allow yourself to kind of have a decision to go through all the possibilities. But that's what I was thinking initially, is that here we can either add an A to match this last A, or we don't match an A, and then this A matches this A, and we have this new subproblem. But that's not true, right? The reason why this is not true is because then you cannot add an A, because in this way you're thinking about it, A is going to be added to the beginning, right? And you already kind of, to make it more obvious, is that if you have like A, C, A, if you match the first A with this A to give you the subproblem of C, right? Oh, I got the middle C's wrong, but that shouldn't matter. In this case, I cannot just suddenly choose to add a C here, because then that is the equivalent of saying, okay, we want to do this, whatever it is, to match the first two and the last two, but obviously you can't do it on this problem. So, okay, so I do need to retract a little bit about what I want to do for this problem, because obviously that's just not right? That's my intuition was kind of to take things off one at a time, but that doesn't seem to work. And this only, I think one thing I didn't think through a little bit, because I think ooh, my keyboard's a little bit dirty. Hang on. That's why it's not responding very well. Sorry, I'm just like cleaning my keyboard. Sorry, friends. It's kind of dirty today. That's what happens. I was eating on top of it, so that's my fault. But anyway, so okay, so then now we have to kind of rethink another thing. The thing that I would say is that I think I was taught, I think some part of it is that if I actually just think it through, I probably came to this conclusion very quickly. Some part of it is that, you see that I'm talking out loud and explain why I don't think this is right, instead of just like being, oh no, this is wrong, right? So maybe it's a little bit slower, and for that, my apologies. Is my keyboard back on? Yep. Okay. So make sure. Okay. So then now my second idea is that, okay, well, my second immediate idea is that, okay, we can remove all these things for now, I guess. right, is that okay? Well, if, and I don't know how to do it yet, but in theory, we can just choose to you know choose to choose a place to control mirror it, right? That's what a palindrome is. So for example, if we choose before the first character mirror it, then we is the equivalent of adding all of these, right? And then now we can maybe see if we can choose the second character to mirror. So then now we would choose here, and this is a good mirroring because the inner stuff is great. So then now we add a C, we add a E, we add a C, A. Oops. C. This is right? No. This is right. I'm trying to type. You can't type backwards easily, so that's why. But yeah, so then now you have something that's shorter. But then now, if you try to, what was it? A C C A, right? Then now if you try to do here, well, it just doesn't work because already it's broken, so you have to try another one. Then it turns out that none of them really works anymore, I guess. But that's like the idea. That, I think I add something. Oh, I added an extra E. But I think that's the idea that I want to do. And of course, if you do it naively, that's going to be n squared, right? Because we try comparing this with whatever, and then in a naive way, that'll be n squared. So can we do it a little bit faster? And the way to do it a little bit faster, I think it turns out to be a string algorithm, right? Because then now, what are we saying? I'm trying to, give me a second. I'm trying to think about how to say it precisely a little bit. Because basically now, we're looking at this substring and then try to see if this suffix, or maybe a subpart of the suffix, is equal to the reverse of the suffix, right? So then how would we do that in a fast way? Because even if we do all of these, if we do one of these in linear time, even if we do it in linear time, we have n of these, so that's going to be n squared. And if we don't even do that in linear time, then you do it like slower. So the question is, can I figure out a way to pre-process this so that we can do either more than one of them at a time, or do enough of the work so that when you do a kind of a sweep line thing, it'll be if you do a sweep line thing, it'll let you it'll let you do the work in amortized all of one time, right? And I mean, honestly, I do have an idea, but I'm trying to think whether that is a good idea. And a little bit of spoiler alert, maybe, or maybe it's just a wrong alert, is my first idea is to do a rolling hash type thing. Because then now you could get a fingerprint of a substring in theory, all of one. Yeah, in all of one, and then that'll allow you to kind of do a match, and all you have to do is just like do it both ways, I guess. It's doable. It probably is fast enough, honestly, but it's a little bit complicated. I'm trying to think whether that complication is needed. Maybe it's not even that complicated. I don't know. But I'm also trying to think a little bit of, is there a more straightforward thing, right? Because that's the thing, is that like the way that we wrote this is not always going to be true, in that if you have like it's not like a monotonic function, right? Meaning that it can go from true to false to true to false and so forth. So it's not like you can't binary search on it, I guess. If you could binary search on it, then you could do an O of n thing easily, right? For example, yeah, if you have like maybe something like this, right? Like you can't do it here or here. Well, I mean, even just something like this, right? This you cannot mirror it here, but you can mirror it here, right? So and you cannot mirror it here. Well, it's just too small, so you wouldn't even do it, because you can't add characters to match the right side. So you would, but you get the idea, right? So in that case, you cannot do a binary search or anything like that. Am I stuck on rolling hash, Wobbin Corp? That seems very high machinery. Am I missing something? And that's the thing with Leetcode sometimes, is that I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think how to do it without the algos. I know that you can probably do this with z function, by comparing a z and all right. Well, if we were to do it with z function, how would we do it? We would do it with we would do it by comparing this and then maybe the reverse of this. So then now is that right? Huh, I guess so. But what would that give me? Basically, what this does is that it compares the z function with itself. So then this would give you too much. But then how would you use this? Is this even right? Sorry, right now I'm on the self-exploration part, and I'm trying to do stuff that I don't really understand. I mean, I have two solutions. We'll go over both of them, but I'm trying to think through like how would that work if we were given this magic z function. Mostly because I don't know the z function that well anyway. So that's, but that's another story. Do I put the thing or do I put the? Because I'm trying to think where I should be putting it the other way, which maybe makes more sense. Because now you have the reverse string, so then you have the prefix. This now matches two of them in the reverse way. Does that make sense? No, because it should match these two, so I don't know that. I think this one makes more sense, the other one, because then now this is the reverse at the end, so then now the reverse matches the prefix, and then this, oh yeah, I guess so, because this is the reverse. We say that this, if this matches the target, the input, then the extra stuff is what we're adding. Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, we'll do it both ways. I'm going to I'm looking for my z function, because basically I don't want to go over it that much because z function is not that interesting. Wait, where's my z function? Okay. And honestly, nowadays I just kind of paste it in. The idea here for z function is that, and this is a black box, you have to kind of Google this. I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand it well enough to explain it to you how it works. So you should. I have to Google it. Is one of the few things that I will admit, or that I refuse to learn for the most part. When it comes to a time when I need to know for the actual Z function and not just how to use it, I will learn it. But it has not come up yet. That said, it's probably not good enough for an interview. I'll do it. I'll do this another way with rolling hash or Robin Corp. So we'll do that in a little bit. But for now, we'll just try to see if we could do this in a black box. And then basically, the usage of Z function is that if you're given any string, let's say we have a, and we just print it. Why not? Right. I guess this is kind of unuseful, but what it does in general is that it in a really fast way, it goes, okay, you have this function, right? So for each character, it goes, okay, how the first iteration is going to be, okay, so these two strings, how many times or how long does it match the first character, like the prefix, right? And that's why you have 9. Because this matches, well, perfectly for itself, because it should, because it's the same string. And then next, you shift by 1 and then ask the same question. And the answer is 0. And then the next one is also 0. And then now you could see that the overlap is 6, so that's why there's 6. And then, you can kind of figure it out this way. I mean, for this example, it's, whatever. But it turns out that there are applications where you can put, this is what I'm doing, is that you can put strings together to do funky stuff. For example, you could and separate them by a delimiter. I usually use a pound, but yeah, because basically the idea here now is that let's say you have this thing, and this is some people call it a trick, some people call it a hack. I come from I wouldn't say a computational biology background, but I did some stuff on computational biology back in the day, and back then it was just a lot of string algorithms with suffix arrays and which comes from suffix tries and something like this. And these are honestly considered basic techniques that people just knows how to do. Though sometimes I always confuse which way. But the idea here is that, okay, let's say you have this, right? Let's say you create this string, and then now you create this thing. Of course, the first one's going to be 17. I'm not going to write it because it's 2 digits and it doesn't fit, right? So I'm just going to write exclamation mark. And then the other one is 1. And then next, yeah, obviously it's going to be 0, 0, and honestly, I mean, we could do it manually, but this is basically what you get, right? So what does this mean? Usually what happens is that we know the length of this, so we know where the pound is. At least the computer would know. I have to take a look. That's 8 characters. So then, so this is the pound, and then now usually you throw away half of it, and then that means that this is the one that matches this part, and how much. So this is the way to get this string to match this string, right? To do 2 strings, that's basically how to do it. So in another way, it's just going this, and it goes to, okay, matches 2 characters. Now you, oh, maybe I did it the wrong way, sorry. Okay, so I have this and this. I think I just copy and paste one. But yeah, it matches 2 characters. You match this, now it matches 7 characters. And then now this, you match, well, 1, 0, 0, 2, 1, right? That's basically the idea. But how you interpret this is that now, you know that given this string, we know that there's a way to revert it such that there's an overlap of 7 characters, right? And because now we know that the maximum overlap is 7 characters, that means that we just have to add 1 more, which is how, I mean, you could actually obviously calculate it from that, but that's basically the idea. You need to add just 1 more character, and that's what we have here. So basically, I was trying to think about how not to use this, honestly, because, this is kind of, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't think I mean, obviously I can use it on an interview because I don't know it enough to explain it. Because you can't just be like, let's use a Z function. But on competitive, no one knows you don't know Z function, and that you just copied it off your older code, which I think I probably copy off ChatGPT at this point, at some point. But anyway, yeah. So that's basically the idea. And then for this one, so then now we have, so we just have S plus, this plus the reverse of S. So you have this, and then you have C function, and maybe we could just print it just for you know, science. But this will give us the same thing anyway, hopefully, yeah, right? And the other thing, yeah, and then now, so yeah, so maybe we have Z is equal to this. We know the length of S, right? So N is equal to length of S. So then now we skip S characters to go to +1. We want to skip S +1 character to go to the second part. So maybe we do something like Z is equal to, we just chop off the first N +1, right? And then now it should give us what we want. Yeah, so it gives us what we want from the second half. And then now we just need to take the max number, right? So here it's 7. So, and yeah, you're seeing me doing it step by step. But of course I knew how to do it. Oops, why did I write 7? But yeah, you could, I mean, in fact, you could just write it here, really, right? Because these are integers. Oops. And yeah, and then that means, but this max is the number of characters that you will keep. So that means that we want to add is equal to n minus max. So then now we just add characters in front. There are a couple of ways you could do it, but yeah, maybe we could even just do something like this. And we want to add the characters from the end of the reverse characters, or I guess from the beginning. Right? Did I make this string is so confusing? Maybe I confused it. But no. 7. So this is the input. We want to keep the 7. So then, yeah. So then we want to add the one that's at the end. So I don't know why I did underscore here. But so then now we have, what's the string name? S of negative I minus 1, I guess. Right? From the end. I mean, you can also just write n minus, yeah, n minus I minus 1 as the characters that you add at the beginning, and you add it outside in, I think. I mean, we can double check this part by okay, I think actually test case 2 does it. So yeah, so we want to add it outside in. So then now maybe we have something just like a prefix array, right? And then now prefix dot append this. And you can actually write this in one line now that I see it this way, right? Because then now it is just one character at a time from the end coming in. So then it is just, if you have something like this, reversed, and then it's just the last I, the first I reversed. Well, if you reverse it, and then now you have to reverse it again. Well, if you reverse it, you take the first I, and then you reverse it again to add it to the front, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And this is not I. This is n minus max. And then reverse it again. This is very confusing. But then you add this to the original S, and that's your answer, right? Hopefully, I know that this looks wonky as hell. But hopefully that is the right answer. Which looks good for here. But yeah, as you can see, I actually did this in the wrong order from here. Because part A is straightforward to see. Part B, I guess, I added in the wrong, or I guess I don't have to reverse it. Maybe I just kind of confused myself here with all the reversing. So there you go. Yeah. So that's very, so if you ask me how I think about this, this is the way that I would break it down, right? Let's see. Ooh. Oh. Because this is empty. Because the input is empty. I hate you. Why would you give an empty input? And apparently I haven't solved this problem yet. Which is, I guess, maybe not surprising. I don't know. Yeah, I hate you. What a silly case. Like, what are you testing here? Testing if we read the problem? I don't know. Oh, dong dong dong. Well, that sucks. Maybe I did this backwards though, or maybe like I used the wrong one. I didn't think so, but maybe I'm wrong on this. We could take a look. I mean, because this is the, I think, yeah, I mean, they're really only the other ways, so maybe I could just even hack it, but I want to take a look real quick. So then now we have here, this as a prefix makes sense. or like at least it's not wrong. This as well, but did I? Is this a palindrome? Oh, this is definitely wrong. There's 3 B's here. Yeah, there's 3 B's here, and I don't have 3 B's on the left side. Huh. Is it just an off by 1, or I'm just confused? I mean, could be both, I suppose. I mean, I know that the other way to think about it is just, reversing it, but I wanna see if I have a deeper understanding about it. Because that's a legit wrong answer. Though I think it is just that I reversed it, honestly. Okay, so yeah, so we have this thing and then 25. So then the max is going to match 5 characters. That makes sense so far, maybe. Because then now basically what we're saying is that this we want to reverse this. This is so confusing to reverse manually though. Actually, that wasn't that bad. So then now we're saying that these 5 match. Oh no, the other way maybe. Well, this would match 5. So what does that mean? This is reversed and it matches 5. Am I doing it well? Well, what this is saying is that yeah, then now we have to add the rest. Oh, wait, what? Maybe I'm just using it wrong. Hang on. This is a good example though. Maybe my understanding is just off, and this is one of those 2-hour Larry videos, which is already getting up there. But okay, so this 5 match, what does that mean exactly? That means that in the reverse string, which is this, and then, but then the rest, what do we do to the rest? The rest doesn't match, right? Am I thinking about this wrong? Wait, what does this mean? This means that, okay, the 5 matching means that, what does 5 matching here mean? And am I doing it the right way? Well, let's look at the one with the chop. Oh, maybe that's a little bit cleaner to see. Okay, so it does match 5, but what does that mean? Really? It's gonna be 5 no matter how we swap them. But what does the 5 mean? The 5 means that there's a prefix of 5, but what do we do with the rest? Because they just don't match, right? So maybe my understanding of this was a little bit premature and I was just kind of hacky, and then because it does remind me of another problem, but I don't know, maybe that's just because the canonical DP way is just doing a DP on the, no, that's adding, that's changing, not just this though. No, it's a longest something. I don't know. Anyway, that's not this problem here. Did I just do it backwards? Maybe. Does that help? I know that the other answers may be wrong now because we might have to fix something out. But even then, we have this 5, and I don't know what to do with it. Dong dong dong. I think the other way is more right, but I think I'm missing an assumption, an observation. So this 5, so what does this 7 mean? The 7 means that we have this string and we match it with Oh, we match it the other way with AAA, CC, AA. So we say 7, but 7 also gets to the end of it. So maybe it's not just getting the max. 5 is not good enough. I mean, I was trying to figure out a way to be more sturdy about this, but this 5, it does not reach all the way to the end, so that's not good enough, right? But then now what is good enough? So maybe, you know, this overlaps of 3, it is good because it has to match all the way to the end, right? Because then now the rest, by definition, the part that I think that's the part I didn't, because this terminates, but that means that everything and I was trying to figure out how to prove it in my head, but I guess there's nothing to prove. It's just that I was trying to wiggle my way out of it. But no, it's just that the rest that are left over doesn't match. But if you go all the way here, when you go to 3, then now you know that this matches the rest, and this is just the overlap. Then that makes more sense. Okay, so then we could just do a for loop. It's not a big deal, but I think I just didn't, or maybe I tried to skip a little bit too fast in pattern matching and was just wrong, you know? So okay. So then now we have for I, let's say, yeah, for index x in enumerate this thing, right? Then now we have the index and the number of things we match, right? So then if index plus x goes to the n, and I think it can only be equal to n. I don't think it can be. I want to try that real quick. Then now this is a good possible answer, right? So then maybe best is you go to, I guess really the first answer it does you should break, because that means that is the first place where it overlapped enough, right? So yeah, we don't even need a best thing. So that this is the index. So everything left of the index is going to be mirrored. So it's just go up to the index plus so that's everything in the index, and then yeah, everything from the index is fine, but then now we want everything from the index. I guess we don't need to spread this out, but I just want to kind of we're going to do that, but then reverse it, right? So we can return this, and then we don't need to break, and then if nothing else, then we just return s plus the reverse of s, though technically if it's odd, but I think if it's odd it should be okay too. Okay. Still no Gucci. Oh, did we add it? Maybe we need to add it to the beginning. Seems like we added it to the end. Oh, because this index is on the mirrored one, not on the original one. Yeah, so I think as a result, does it matter? Like, does this change things? Did I just confuse things? I am very confused. I don't know. But okay, let's just, I think that was right anyway. But okay. Yeah, so then well, yeah, this is the original string, so there's no way that's right, because we want to add to the front. So yeah, okay, maybe it's just this. No, I don't think so, but I think the indexing is wrong, but I'm just gonna run it. I'm too okay. No, this is just wrong. We know that it overlaps in the index. Oh yeah, why did I write it this way? No. Oh, but it's because it's reversed. I want to, because it is that everything to the s. Okay, let's just say we have a reverse is equal to maybe this is a little bit more better, and I'm just confused. Okay, yeah. Okay. Honestly, well, we'll see if this works first. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would say honestly, I was just a little bit lazy. I thought that I saw a pattern, and then I kind of ran with it. But I think this makes more sense now that you saw me kind of step through how I made that mistake and how to debug that mistake of, wait, my understanding is not right? Because I was doing this thing, and I was like seeing 5, and I was trying to make sense of what this 5 means. And I think honestly, it was in front of me what the 5 was. Like it matched this 5, but this doesn't match this, so it doesn't make sense because if you reverse this side, you're not gonna get this, right? Or yeah, because well, this doesn't match this, so if you flip it, it doesn't make sense. Because this is already flipped, right? So yeah. But yeah, I think once I kind of got to the thing where I was like, okay, well, if it matches the last 3, then now we know that we can chop this off and then replace it with this kind of thing. And we know that by definition, this is equal to this because this string is just reverse of this string, right? So that's why, and then you could chop off these 3 characters. You could rewritten it in either way, but yeah. Yeah, and I think maybe this is wrong because no, I think it doesn't matter. I don't think this comes up except for maybe an empty string, but we already have a case for it. I'm curious whether this happens. Huh? Yeah, so that's why it doesn't really matter. Because I think this should always happen. Because if it's odd, then you have 1 character. If you have because you can always odd or even number of characters. This always is true. You could always take the first character as your middle character, right? So that's why this always is true and this never runs. I can't just put in a random thing, but yeah. And apparently this is always true. So because you can't go further, so it can be greater. But I was just lazy. Like if it was a contest thing, I would keep it that way because then I don't have to think about it. But I kind of knew that was true. I just didn't want to prove it. So yeah, so this is the Z function. Pretty magical, but yeah, I think I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't really think about this weird situation for all the cases. Okay, but in the same idea, right? It's already 42 minutes in, but we'll try to do Robin Corp, right? And it's been a while, so I may be a little bit slow, but the idea is still the same idea, right? Which is that we have these inputs, and then now we try to see how much of the prefix matches, so that we can, like I said, because we know if it matches in this way, you can just chop it off, and then right. So that's basically the idea. Oops. Yeah, and I think now that I think about it more precisely, it's not even the overlap. It is that this is what this means. But I think I didn't think about it the first time. I was just, I don't know. I guess it matches the pattern for example 1 and 2, and I got a little bit hasty. I'm trying to find my tea. I'm a little bit thirsty. It's been 40 minutes of talking, but yeah. So it's not sufficient that there's a match. It has to be that the prefix and the suffix of the, so it has to be the suffix, and I didn't check for the suffix part. So the prefix part got checked, and then by this thing, and then this is the suffix part. So yeah, I think that's the way that I would think about it. Sorry, I'm gonna drink some tea real quick. Excuse me. But yeah, so okay. So then now that we've defined the problem more precisely, I think that was my failing, is that I just didn't do it. I don't know. I think I was rushing a little bit, or I thought it was obvious, but then I didn't. It's obvious once I kind of articulated, but I think I just didn't like I had this idea floating in my head, but I didn't think about the precise way to define it. But yeah, this is pretty high machinery. If you want to Google it, it's literally just set function, right? And then the other way is by what did we say it was? Robin Cobb, rolling hash. And the idea here is just that well, look, for the prefix, we want to hash one. I mean, now that we have it more defined, then it should be pretty yeah, pretty straightforward maybe. I'm trying to think about the cleanest way to do it, but but I mean, it's just the idea here is that for Robin Cobb is that we just compare the fingerprint for one, the prefix, the second, and then now this. I think you can do it with the same Robin Cobb and just kind of, I don't know, do some maths. But you can also do it in another way of just billing out the thing one at a time, which I think I'm going to do, right? Though you would have to keep going so you don't terminate early. But yeah, but basically now you're just testing, okay, well, is it one character? Is it two characters? Is it three characters? Is it four characters, right? So, okay, yeah. So Robin Cobb, I'm not going to go over it in details. You have to Google this. It is, I don't know that you need to know this particular Robin Cobb, but it is, you need to know some string algorithms, right? But yeah, the reason why I like Robin Cobb, and it's easy to remember, so I am doing everything from scratch, just to be clear, but yeah. But yeah, it is just that the way that I think about it is that now we're representing a string in this case as a base, as a number that is in base, in this case 27 or something, right? Something that's bigger than the size of the alphabet. In this case, the size of the alphabet is 26. So as long as something bigger, it's usually fine. Yeah, there are some nuances with choosing the hash and things, but it's just about that, and then you just shift and add, and it's pretty straightforward. So the way that I would think about it, and everything you see is live. Z function, I copy and paste, as you also saw, even though it still took a while to figure it out. But Robin Cobb is pretty like I know it. Well, I know the concept of it, and I usually implement it from scratch. Maybe I shouldn't though, because on the contest, it takes me a while. But yeah, the idea here is that okay, you have a base. So as we say, it doesn't really matter. I choose 30, say, and then you have a big mod. In this case, let's say I usually just Google a prime number, so maybe 20-digit primes. And then I just click on the first page, and then I just click on a random prime to yeah. I don't know. In Python, this obviously works because it's big in, or it works in a way that it might not in another language because this may have too many digits, right? But in Python, it's fine. So then now we try, so n is equal to length of s, and then we can just do a rolling hash, right? So for I in range of n, and then now does the first I plus 1 prefix match the reverse of or the last I plus 1 if of the suffix of the reverse, right? So that's basically the thing, right? That's basically what we're doing, right? Something like that, give or take. English is hard. I think I see. Sometimes I joke that English is hard, and then people in the comments are like randomly, not sometimes in different videos will be like, "Oh, Larry, you're fine. Your English is great." I'm like, it's a joke. I'm an American, by the way. If I have an accent, it's a New York accent, maybe a little bit Cantonese. sometimes, but it's a way, in America, most people would understand. Right? So you don't have to tell me my English is good. Sometimes it even sounds a little bit weird, but otherwise, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So then we we have this, right? So then, so now we have two hashes, right? We have hash for the regular direction, and then maybe a thing for a reverse direction, reverse hash. I was going to add in another auth for regular hash, but that just is confusing. So, okay. So then now we have shift and add, right? But keeping in mind though, we're doing two different things. You probably could construct a thing such that it is the same, but do it in one direction or another. But keeping in mind that, okay, let's say we have, what I mean by that is that, okay, let's say you have this direction, and here, what are we matching, right? In the regular string, we're matching A, and then now we're matching AA. And what happened, if you think about it as a number in a base 30, well, what happens? Well, that means that we shift A to a new digit, and then we add the second A, right? And then when we add a C, we shift the previous number by base 30, and then we add a C, right? And then so forth. So this is shift and add, right? However, the thing is that if you're now doing it the other way, on the reverse string, yeah, it's a little bit different. It's not the standard Robin Corp, right? Because basic, I don't know. I guess you can do it this way. But yeah, you have A, right? And then what's next? Well, next you actually go to the earlier digit and add an A. And then after that, you add a digit and go to add a C, right? So you're adding the digits in the front. So what does that mean? That means that instead of here, you shift and add, here you go A, okay, you add A, it's in the 0th digit, so that's fine. And then the next A is going to be in the digit, like if you think about tens, it'll be on the next, it'll be 10 times whatever it is. But of course, now this is a base 30, so it's going to be 30 times A. Here, it's going to be C times 30 squared, right? And then Y is going to be Y times 30 to the cube, right? So these are things that you have to think about. And of course, there's a mod component, but yeah. And for now, also just to be clear, we are not going to go over false positives. Yeah, I mean, if someone has access, like if someone can challenge your code, then there are going to be false, or like they can always construct false positives. But for now, we won't worry about it. If we need to, we can add an if statement. But it changes the complexity a little bit depending on the situation. So, it's always just trade-offs, right? Okay, so then now the shift and add for the H is pretty straightforward, right? In theory, you shift by the base, and then you add it by the character. In this case, it is normal, and then minus all of A. And I always add it to 1, so that all the real numbers are from 1 to 26. The reason I do that is because there's almost like an implicit length in there, right? So that it's a little bit cleaner, because then your zeros, because if for example, if you have like A and your A's are zeros, then the number in base 30 is going to be 0, but it also matches just a single A, right? So that's why I always do it from 1 to 26 or whatever. And I think when I first did this, I mean, not the first time, but the first time I did it on Leetcode or whatever, I think I made a mistake and I kind of caught this very quickly. Keeping in mind that I had years of competitive programming experience before this, so I remember the idea, right? But I didn't remember the code. And in any case, I never coded it in Python, because back in the earlier days, I didn't do competitive programming in Python. So, but yeah. So, okay, so shift and add for the H, and of course, mod, right? Okay, so that's H. And then now, here we want something like, yeah, and there are ways to do this, but we'll just keep it still a bit easy for now. And if it times out, then we'll do it a little bit tougher, right? So then here we have the current digit. Let's simplify by separating out, right? what we want is so we want the ith digit of the reverse. So we reverse it. And then we get the ith digit from the end, which is actually just turns out to be exactly the same, right? I think it actually surprised me a little bit, so I want to make sure. But yeah, because you reversed it and then you take it from the end, it is just the same as the original string. The only difference is that you're hashing. So this is the digit. So here, maybe you could even just reuse this. But actually, I won't reuse it because it's a little bit confusing. But right, and then now the reverse hash, as we said, it's going to be equal to d times base to the power of in this case just I, right? Because if I is 0, then base is 0 or 1. Sorry, it's going to be raised to 0 power, so it's going to be 1, and then so forth. And then of course we mod it. And of course there's also whoops. Another thing is that of course we can actually also put the mod here to make it a lot faster. Otherwise you may time out. Probably will, if reasonable. And then now, right, if h is equal to RH, of course we're counting forwards, so we cannot just terminate like we did before. What we want is actually what do we want? When do we want it? Later. Okay, so best is equal to 0, and then if hash is equal to hash. And also you can see from this formula that by default, the first character will always be true, right? So yeah, best is equal to I, right? And then at the very end, we go, what do we go? So I plus 1 is the number of characters that overlap, right? So then now we want to return, okay, so that means that this is the overlap, this is the suffix. Again, it's this by the, and then now we want the prefix to be the reverse of this, right? So yeah, and of course this is just regular S, but I don't like simplifying things because it just, but if I'm wrong, then you know, oh, this is not I, this is best, of course, because yeah, it makes it easier to see my understanding. Of course, it seems like I'm wrong anyway. Dun dun dun. Did I forget something? Base sub let's see. I think the idea is right, but clearly I'm wrong. So okay, this one overlap, that's fine. And 7, ooh, 7 is just really wrong, huh? Oh no, 6 is right. So why is it not doing 6 correctly? Am I? Oh, I said that I needed this by plus 1, but I think I just messed up. So okay. Okay, still wrong, but this is just S. Did I need to Did I need the last characters, right? Oh no, this is the overlap. So we. Oh yeah. What is the? I just said the wrong things. I mean, so best is the overlap. So the overlap is going to be the first of the input, right? So then now this. No, that was right? That's what I had. No, I'm dumb. This isn't even right. I had it in the wrong place. I don't know what is wrong with me today. But yeah, okay, this should be right. Because everything else is overlap. Okay, yeah. Though I did forget the I plus 1, because I don't know, I just very sloppy today. But yeah. So yeah, that's basically the idea, as long as you get it right. You know, in this case it's a little bit slower. I think probably because there's no early termination. But also because this is not super cheap either for things. And there are ways to do this actually, right? Because I kind of did this lazily, but one quick optimization is noticing that And everything I implement, by the way, like I said, I want to emphasize this because I think people think about these in patterns, and I don't know, I hate the idea. But just with the idea, you're able to create these code because, it's just straightforward, right? For me to, in a way. But here, for example, like it is accurate, so it's fine. But you can also see that we shift a little bit one by one, so we can say that maybe I don't know, shift is equal to 1. So then here we can just times shift, and then we can do shift times it by base, and also mod it afterwards, right? Which, and then you times it by this, yeah, and that would be oops. I guess I have more cases than before. So yeah, this should be slightly faster, actually a lot faster as a result, because mod power is not that cheap, but you can see that you can make optimizations here. But I think the other way is more directly to how I thought about the problem, right? So that's why I wrote it that way first, Yeah, I don't think I could do more optimization. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, I don't think I think I skipped talking about the Z function complexity. But honestly, it should be, well, if you believe me, Z function is O of n, so this is O of n, right? Because this is O of n, and this is just a loop. In this case, yeah, this is also O of n. I mean, there's only one loop, right? So this is O of n, and this is also O of n. There's just 3 concatenation. So at worst, you have 3 times n strings, so it's not that bad. But yeah, that's all I have for this one. This is a tricky one for sure. What other solutions do they have? Brute force. All right, fine. 2 pointers. Oh, it's still n squared. I was wondering why I couldn't. I was like, that didn't make sense, but it's n squared. So they're just showing that it is too slow. KMP. I don't know KMP though. I need to learn it, maybe. Rolling hash is basically what we have. I don't know. Maybe you could do it backwards for suffix or something. I don't know. Doing it in reverse. Oh, I guess they did it mostly the same way, actually. Oh yeah, that is. I forgot about this actually. This is such a silly one, though. I mean, that is literally. Yeah, it's silly. I'm not gonna go over it. No one needs to know this. It is literally what the problem is for, but it's not. Yeah. But yeah, I guess honestly though, I would say I probably should have done it with rolling hash because, as you see, this is very straightforward. But I did miss that clarity that I got from doing it with the Z function, which is the prefix suffix thing. I thought maybe just the prefix is enough, but clearly I didn't. I was thinking it in terms of what a Z function is, but I didn't think about it in terms of what I need for this problem, and that's kind of the tricky thing. Anyway, this is a long video. If you're all the way here at the end and you didn't skip ahead, even if you did, that's fine. Leave a comment so I give you props in my head for thank you for watching. The reason, and honestly, like, this is a long video. I know you didn't come here to watch an hour-long video. That's fine. That's fair. But I would say that if you did, leave a comment so I know. Because otherwise, in the future, maybe I just kind of skip out on these problems because, hey, I don't know, right? So let me know. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, though. Thanks for the support if you're here, and let me know in the comments for your support because this is a long video. But this is a long video for sure. But I hope that I explain at least the Robin Cobb idea. If the Z function, I know it's a little bit hand wavy on my part, but at least Robin Cobb, I hope. I did a good job of. Well, I did an okay job. Let me know what a job I did on the Robin Cobb. But that's basically it. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Weekend is almost here. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay good. Stay healthy. Take care of mental health. I'll see y'all later and take care. Bye bye.